Alright guys, so we're on to the next episode of Dragon Ball Super. We're on to episode 98, and this was a very interesting episode. I would say that I was actually a little disappointed in the first half of this episode. It felt very unneeded, but at the same time, I'm more pleased that we're not rushing through things. Like, this entire episode was dedicated to Goku and Vegeta battling Universe 9 and essentially the Trio of Dangers. And what was interesting about this is that we constantly had Beerus, Champa, and other gods saying, oh my god, the Trio of Dangers are pussies. Why are Goku and Vegeta taking their time with this? So the fact that, again, essentially much weaker fighters in the tournament compared to, you know, the big guns like maybe Hit, Jiren, or Toppo, this was an entire episode dedicated to them. So I have good faith that this tournament will indeed last many episodes, and that has been one of my big fears, is that Dragon Ball Super it takes its time getting to the good shit. Like, it's very I would almost say plotting. But then once we get to the big epic stuff, it just absolutely blasts through it in record time. And we don't even get time to sit and enjoy it and really let it marinate. So even though the first half of this episode was very slow, in the long run, in terms of the overall arc itself, I do think that is a good thing. But this episode in particular, just a little weak. But I do have to fucking say, the ending of this episode was so good, and Goku and Vegeta, oh my goodness, we will get there, but holy shit. Another thing I do want to address before we actually get straight into the review too, is that there was more reused animation in certain parts, but I still don't really see why that is a problem. This episode looked fucking fantastic. And so far, all of these, you know, the episodes in the tournament, I mean, well, they've only been in the World of Void for 3 episodes, but they've all looked really good. So I'm perfectly fine with this. I've made the point before, but listen, when Goku vs. Jiren has ridiculous level animation on par with what we saw when Vegito Blue was fighting Merge Zamasu, no one is going to be complaining about that. And one reason I think Goku vs. Jiren will be able to look as good as I guarantee it will is because, you know, they're doing maybe some reused animation in this episode, or in the last episode, or in the next episode. It is what it is. It is there is no problem with it whatsoever. It needs to be done. I mean, we're going to have, you know, 10 episodes at least of non-stop fighting. You know, that shit is not easy to make on the tight schedule that all these, you know, Japanese animes have. Like, people have got to understand that. So, the episode opens up with, you know, Universe 9 having Goku surrounded. A lot of their fighters, you know, are kind of going at Goku. Specifically, the Trio of Dangers. You know, they're kind of like maintaining a formation around Goku. They're doing a lot of teleporting. It's very like, you know, kind of more like a, I don't want to say a stare down because they are teleporting and stuff, but it's not like really crazy action. Now, here's something I do find pretty interesting, is the Kaioshin actually mentions like, okay, why is Goku clowning around with these guys? He could just go blue and take them down. And Whis mentions he's pacing himself. And he says that the Super Saiyan Blue form drains stamina heavily. Now, I don't have a problem with this. I mean, this basically does appear to be how the Super Saiyan Blue form has been used throughout most of Dragon Ball Super. Like, at this point, I do want to go back and check out a bunch of scenes. I might make a video on this specifically, because I can already guarantee that motherfuckers are going to be going crazy over this line. This is what we're going to be hearing about this week. This is the big bitching point, is that now Super Saiyan Blue heavily drains stamina. In the manga, that was explained basically the first time Super Saiyan Blue was used in real combat, because the Dragon Ball Super manga skipped the Resurrection F arc. There is the Resurrection F manga itself, though, also done by Toyotaro, but they skipped the Resurrection F arc. So the first real fights that Super Saiyan Blue did in the Dragon Ball Super manga were against Hit, where this, you know, heavy taxing of stamina was explained during that fight. The only problem I have with this is that it's being revealed now. they should have talked about this in the Hit fight in Dragon Ball Super as well. That's my only problem with this. There's no reason that we went through the fight with Golden Frieza, we went through the fights with Kabe and Hit, all of the fights with Goku Black, Zamasu, and Merge Zamasu, all of the lead up to the Universal Survival Arc, you know, the Zen exhibition match against Bergamo, all of this, and only now has it actually been specifically stated on screen that Super Saiyan Blue heavily drains stamina. I don't have a problem with that itself, because, you would think that the Super Saiyan Blue form must have some sort of drawback, otherwise, why would Goku ever clown around in his Super Saiyan form? I know he likes to hold back, but still. To finish my point off, though, to summarize, so I would say I have no problem with this whatsoever. I don't really think this is, like, breaking any sort of, consistency with what we've seen earlier in Dragon Ball Super, like the way Goku and Vegeta have used the transformation. It's not like this directly contradicts what we've seen previously. My only problem is that I just wish they would have stated this sooner than, episode 98. This really should have been talked about in the, in the early 40s and late 30s when, they were fighting Kabe and Hit. And it is funny afterwards because old Kai actually kind of scolds, Shin, the Universe 7 Kaioshin there, and says like, oh boy, you couldn't figure that out, huh? Your studies really are lacking. And it's like, oh my god, so this is really just going to be a thing for the entirety of the series run now, where Kaioshin is just always going to be incompetent, huh? I like my boy, really I do. But damn, I would love to see him have some cool moment where, like, he comes up with a plan, or, oh, he deduces this thing. But unfortunately, that's not his role. The person who is going to be, doing the anime, they're going to push their glasses up their face and explain what's going on. That is going to be Whis during the tournament. It's definitely not going to be Shin. So the fighting starts with the Trio of Dangers and Goku. Beerus and Champa, they kind of both say things about Goku. Champa doesn't think that Goku will be defeated easily, but he is rooting for the Trio of Dangers because, obviously, if Goku gets taken out, Universe 7 is fucked. Now, here's what is really interesting. So, they start fighting Goku. Beerus does tell Goku, don't waste too much of your stamina fighting these pussies, and Goku says, yeah, I got it. Now, Lavender actually busts out his poison again. And he's like, aha, once you get hit with this, you're done in this tournament without healing items or anything. Whis confirms that, and Goku kind of like does like a quick power up, and he's covered in this white light, and he says, a barrier. The poison will not work against this barrier. And he specifically states that this is a countermeasure he thought up with Gohan. Now, I would say this, I wish we would have seen this on screen, like some semblance of some of this going on. But this is one of those anime things where this happened off screen so that we can get that revelation, during the fight, during the moment. Because if we had, if the camera was focused on, Goku, Gohan, and Piccolo sitting there at a round table, and, Gohan is explaining, okay, so we'll use our ki to do this to block against Lavender's poison when we inevitably have to face off with him, and Goku goes, gotcha. If we had seen that, as soon as Lavender busts his poison out in this episode, we would be like, oh, well, Goku's just going to pop that barrier and he's good. But at doing it like this, we at least do get the, 1 or 2 moments of uncertainty, which is cool. I do like this right here. What this white light was that we were curious about was a barrier to protect against Lavender's poison. That's dope. I really like that. Plus, I think this is even more, like, important. Okay. Another thing that really needs to be talked about in this episode is that, so Goku uses this barrier, right? Now, if you guys remember, Vegito, when he's absorbed by Buu, uses a barrier to prevent himself from being absorbed. So, Goku has a history of using a barrier before. Obviously, that was Vegito doing it. Way different than Goku. But at this point, Goku is definitely leagues stronger than Super Vegito was during, the Buhan fight. Now, I'm going to get ahead of myself a little bit, but later on in this episode, Vegeta likewise also uses the barrier. Again, it makes a lot of sense because they both were Vegito. They both directly have experience using said barrier. Obviously, I think this is a little different. It does visibly look different from the one Vegito used. Also, we'll get to it. Well, I'm going to name the title of the video, but Goku and Vegeta combined to do the final Kamehameha later on in this episode. So this is something that I really, really was excited to see. Like, the fact that Goku and Vegeta can combo and do Vegito's attack, that is, like, unbelievably awesome to me. That was seriously the best thing to come out of this episode, and I only pray that, like, later on there really is some opponent that would need, like, Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta to fight together at once. You know, many people are theorizing that Goku and Gohan are going to team up and have to fight someone big later on based on the shot in the outro. But, like, you know, if we saw Goku and Vegeta teaming up and using, like, Vegito's moves like this again, oh my god. Goku continues fighting the Trio of Dangers, and he's kind of holding his own. Again, he's still only in base form. And we do see a shot of Frieza, what appears to be dominating Napapa, the sumo wrestler fighter that we saw from the last episode. Frieza kind of stuns him directly on the ground. And then Frieza starts torturing another fighter from Universe 9 and shooting him with death beams. And he walks over to him and is like, ho, ho, ho. I love that little laugh that Frieza's voice actor does. The ho, ho, ho. That shit is so golden, man. And Frieza is just like, oh, yeah, I've decided that you're going to be my plaything. And, like, the way they kind of, like, Frieza points his finger at the dude. You know, the dude is on the ground. And, like, the way they animate, like, the light starting to come out of Frieza's finger, and, like, it zooms in on the dude's face being terrified, and then Frieza, like, shoots it. Like, that shit was so good. I was so, like, against Frieza coming back, and they have made it so fucking perfect every step of the way. Really, really cool. So it goes back to Goku and the Trio of Dangers, and they kind of explain that, you know, to survive in the garbage-like Universe 9, you know, they had to work together and, you know, have these combination attacks to defeat strong enemies that they couldn't beat alone. And I was like, what? Strong enemies they couldn't be alone? Shouldn't they be on the Universe 9 team then? Whatever. Let's not get into that. Now, what's cool is that they do have, like, almost like a Final Fantasy type Delta attack. You know, the inescapable Trio of Dangers, Triangle of Death, the Dangers Triangle. Yo, this shit did have me laughing. And of course, you know, to give it more of, like, that oomph, they do actually say Dangers Triangle in English rather than in Japanese. And you see that the Zeno-samas love it. They're like, Dangers Triangle! Like, yo, I love Zeno-sama. And, like, what's interesting, too, is that we do have the Daishinkan, essentially kind of like, you know how, like, in Yu Yu Hakusho, right, we had the referees who kind of would give little, like, play-by-play during the Dark Tournament. It's almost like the Daishinkan is basically in that role for the tournament, where, like, you know, someone will do a type of move, and Daishinkan will give us a little bit of background on that character. He did that with the sumo wrestler in the last episode, and looks like he'll be doing that in this episode as well, and in future episodes. Now, we get a quick shot of Vegeta, who is fighting, he's fighting one of the robot guys from Universe 3, and then he notices that Goku's starting to have a rough time, you know, being comboed by the Trio of Dangers, and so Vegeta's like, oh, that motherfucking Kakarot, and he flies over to go help Goku, but when he, like, goes over and goes next to Goku, so that they're kind of, like, back-to-back facing off with the Trio of Dangers, you know, the Kaioshin from Universe 9 does state, like, the fucking dummy jumped right into their triangle formation by himself. Now, Vegeta disses Goku, too. Like, what are you doing, boy? Struggling against these mutts? And Goku does remind, you know, I feel like this is more to remind the audience that, remember, these Universe 9 fighters, the Trio of Dangers, Goku is not able to sense their ki, so he says that it's a little tougher fighting them. And then after this, the rest of Universe 9's team actually converges on Goku and Vegeta. So now it is Goku and Vegeta versus 8 fighters from Universe 9. Now, Whis then mentions that, you know, if Goku and Vegeta, like, truly work together, these 8 dudes will go down like pussies, but he's not so sure that they'll actually be able to do that. And it immediately cuts down to Vegeta, who's like, all right, bitches, let's go. And he just charges forward, and Goku's like, Vegeta, wait! Like, that shit was hilarious, man. And what continues for a while here, we just get like a long scene of Goku and Vegeta kind of going back and forth with many of the different Universe 9 fighters. Honestly, like, it was pretty slow around this point because Goku and Vegeta are both fighting base form, and they're kind of just like going toe-to-toe with these guys. And it's like, I don't want to say it got annoying, but it's like, oh my god, like, if they just went, you know, Super Saiyan, like, let's not even talk about Super Saiyan Blue. If they just went Super Saiyan for like 2 seconds, they would clearly body all of these dudes. And like, it does start to feel dragged out. Now, again, overall, for the health of the arc, I do think this is a good idea to have this take as long as it did. But just for this specific episode, it was a little rough. Also, I do got to give special shouts to the kind of like girl, like monster who does try and fight Vegeta. You know, that I saw Chuck the Cybercuck on Twitter being like, oh, a shame I won't be able to power scale this thotty right here. And it's like, oh shit, yeah. I'm sure the artist boys over the next couple days will be power scaling her, if you get my drift. Now, again, like I mentioned previously, Vegeta at this point does actually create this barrier to block against Lavender's poison because he is doing battle with Lavender. Then we get Hisop, who is actually the Groot-looking motherfucker who we saw fighting Vegeta in the last episode. He uses an attack called Absolute Zero, and he freezes Vegeta's arm. So, you know, in the Universe 9, Kaioshin explains that it freezes all the way to the bone. So now Universe 9 really thinks that they're about to win. They have Vegeta surrounded, Lavender, the little thotty from Universe 9, and then, of course, this Groot-looking motherfucker. And they charge, but Vegeta is able to, like, dodge. And later, as it's explained by Whis, is that they became too, like, Universe 9 got too eager to finish Goku and Vegeta off, so at the last second, they got sloppy after Vegeta gets frozen, and this allows both of the Saiyans, Goku and Vegeta, to counterattack powerfully and, like, really grab the decisive moment for victory. Now, Goku goes Super Saiyan and knocks 2 of the fighters of Universe 9 off of the ring. Then it's incredible because Vegeta busts out the same combo that he used to body Android 19 so long ago in Dragon Ball Z and knocks out, I don't know what her name is, so we're just going to have to keep going with the thought from Universe 9, unfortunately. But he does that and instantly, absolutely just wrecks her. Then at this point, a different fighter, Oregano, shoots out some sort of like thread, some sort of like spider silk, and catches Vegeta's other hand. So one of his arms is frozen, the other one kind of has, you know, this thread on it. And it is very similar to what Rando did early in Yu Yu Hakusho, but then Vegeta is just like, fuck you, and he goes Super Saiyan. And it's great, because he goes, yeah, don't underestimate the power of Vegeta-sama. Yo, I love when he busts out the Vegeta-sama shit. And then he rushes in and punches the Groot-looking motherfucker. And, like, he, like, almost like his fist, like, creates this huge explosion and blast and knocks out 2 more fighters from Universe 9. So at this point, Universe 9 is now down to only 4 fighters left because one of the other fighters, who was fighting off screen, this little rabbit-looking girl, is revealed to have been knocked out as well. Because Zeno-sama is, like, pressing, you know, the little god pad, and is like, alright, 6 of them are down. And we see Sidra's like, 6? Nani? And then he looks down, and the little rabbit girl's sitting there, and she kind of does, like, a peace sign. And it's like, whoa, what? Now, immediately after that, we see 18 kind of, like, standing on screen and walking away. So I guess the implication was that Android 19 defeated her. One thing I will say so far I've been disappointed with is I certainly hope they don't just make Android 18 fight every other girl fighter in the tournament. That would be really lame. But based upon the next episode preview, I don't think that'll be the case. So that was good. Because in the moment, I was like, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like, here we go. 18 is just going to fight every single girl fighter. Like, come on, that is so... That's butt cheeks. We don't want that. But then the preview for the next episode did get rid of those concerns for me, which is good. So Goku and Vegeta, both in their Super Saiyan form, they have the trio of dangers absolutely outmatched, and they kind of get them, cornered against the edge of the ring. And that's when they decide to use their big, powerful attack, the Triangle Danger Beam. Now, be on the lookout in Dokkan Battle, because we will be seeing this in Dokkan Battle very soon. The motherfucking Triangle Danger Beam. All three of them, combine their powers and shoot like a big, like almost kind of rainbow-looking blast. And this was the moment where my erection hit the fucking ceiling. Vegeta and Goku both go Super Saiyan Blue. Vegeta goes final, and then we hear Goku go KAMEHAMEHA, and then they both let it out. They both fire it together, and it creates the motherfucking final Kamehameha. The exact same blast we saw when Vegito did it. The blue beam with the yellow electricity surrounding it. I literally stood out of my seat and applauded. I was like, bruh, are you kidding me? Goku and Vegeta, they used Vegito's barrier essentially in this episode, and they busted out the final Kamehameha. Woo! That is what the fuck I am talking about. This is what we wanted to see in the Tournament of Power. Now, of course, the Trio of Dangers had no chance against the final Kamehameha. It knocks them out, they're defeated, and all of Universe 9 is now eliminated. Now, there is one thing I do want to mention about the final Kamehameha. Now, okay, I'm not complaining here, I'm really not, but I do just want to point out that when Vegito used the blast against Merge Zamasu, it completely drained his power to nothing. And remember, Goku and Vegeta were not even able to go Super Saiyan Blue following that moment in the next episode. Now, before you type that comment, wait. I understand that Vegito Blue in that episode, it appeared as though he willingly put all of his power in that final Kamehameha and tried to make it a kill shot for Fusion Zamasu. We saw the same thing happen in the manga, where Vegito charged up all of his power, causing him to defuse. That is essentially what happened in the anime as well. So obviously, a huge difference between that moment against Zamasu and right here is that Goku and Vegeta did not pour all of their power in these blasts. It definitely was not required for the Trio of Dangers. The other big thing, the difference, is that Vegito was essentially using both attacks himself. The Final Flash and the Kamehameha, all outputting that power just from him alone. Whereas Goku and Vegeta both, they basically, put 50% and 50% and combine it into 100%. Neither of them had to tax themselves like that just to fire off this specialized attack. So that is another big difference. So it's not like an inconsistency problem or a contradiction, nothing like that. I did just want to point out that this is an episode where it's been stated many times, Goku and Vegeta need to conserve their stamina. That's what they're doing. They're conserving. And they bust out the fucking final Kamehameha in that same episode, bro. Like, that shit was hilarious. Again, I don't have a problem whatsoever. I'm giving my thoughts and observations here. Really, I'm not complaining. I do find it hilarious, though, that, like, if I had come up to you before the tournament arc started and said Goku and Vegeta will combine and use the final Kamehameha, what opponent would you think they did it against? Jiren? Toppo? The Daishinkan? Certainly you wouldn't have said the fucking Trio of Dangers from the Zen Exhibition match, bro. So then, after this, all of Universe 9 is wiped out. We see the Zenosamas kind of, select that they're all done, on the God Pad. And the Daishinkan flies up and says, all the Universe 9 warriors have dropped out. They've been wiped out. Therefore, Universe 9 will be erased. And he gets this look on his face that is like, I mean, a lot of people are now running with it that, like, the Daishinkan could be evil. Like, this is a theory that we've seen a lot, basically since the Universal Survival Arc has started, that the Daishinkan could be, like, a villain or something. And now, based upon how things are going in this episode, I definitely predict that we are going to be seeing so many theories and stuff that Daishinkan is evil. Now, remember, in the manga, Whis directly stated that he's basically the strongest fighter in existence. I mean, the Zeno-samas are different since they just erase stuff, but Whis directly states that the Daishinkan has the highest battle power. So him as a villain would be cool, you know, a godlike figure. Now, the next scene is really, really good. You know, it gets fucking dark because we see Ryu, or it's Ro, right? The Universe 9 Kaoshin is like, Zeno-sama, please! And then it goes over to the Zeno-samas, and like, they're like so joyful, like, yay! And they put their hands up and erase Universe 9 universe, and we see all the Universe 9 members there just start to like fade away. They all fade away, they're screaming, they're like, ah! And they're just gone. And then it shows us a couple shots of Universe 9 being wiped out as well. And it was like a really like holy shit moment, because one thing that always gets me and stuff like this is like, imagine if you're watching like a natural disaster movie and you've got like a captain on the ship, and like oh no, the ship is about to collide with this thing and explode, we're done. And the captain just kind of like, you know, like he accepts his fate. Like he's not screaming like, oh, help me or anything. He just is kind of very stern. Like he understands what's about to happen. There's nothing that can be done. And Sidra does this. You know, as everyone is screaming, being wiped away, Sidra is just standing there solemnly. And I was like, holy shit, bro. That type of thing always gets me. And another thing that is going to have people going crazy is the Universe 9 Angel. You know, the Whis-like character from Universe 9. He smirks after everyone is erased. And Beerus asks Whis, like, what happened about Universe 9 itself? Whis checks on his staff, and Universe 9 was completely disintegrated. So this shit is real. The second all of your fighters are knocked out, the universe gets fucking obliterated. After this, we just get a couple of shots of, you know, different characters looking really stern. And really the last thing we see is the Daishinkan kind of looks down, and he looks pleased, honestly. And so that's the thing, like, here we go. Like, are these guys evil? And then the camera zooms in on the Universe 9 Angel, and he kind of laughs to himself. So it's like, do the angels have something planned? Are they manipulating the, Zeno-sama? I don't know. I'm not going to make any guesses towards like that, because there's not really evidence besides just the fact that they're smirking and laughing at Universe 9 being destroyed, which is super fucked up, but it doesn't mean they're evil. You know, the gods are, look at how Zamasu was thinking, like, you know, that mortals were nothing to the gods. Maybe it's just that the angels and Daishinkan think similarly. Could be. Who knows? Regardless, I would say this episode was only just okay. It hasn't been great like a lot of the recent episodes. That's because the first half, you know, again, Goku and Vegeta fighting base form sometimes does get a little bit annoying when they're being, you know, kind of overmatched by these weaker fighters. But the ending of the episode's so emotional. The final Kamehameha, you know, Goku and Vegeta using a barrier, all great moments. Definitely, I would say the ending was very, very solid. So we'll see how the Universal Survival arc keeps going forward, but I do like this kind of slow pace that we're getting now, where each episode is basically 1 minute. I am so okay with that, seriously.